Hi.
Hello. Good
Honestly,
morning.
such a bop.
Such a bop. Every time I'm still not over it.
I'm like, this is so perfect.
It is. I'm just backstage vibing.
Yes, I was. But it's funny because if you're the host, you can see the other person, the other people, you know,
See me
and
dancing.
if you're dancing to it or not.
I definitely was.
Well, happy Sunday to everyone. If you are new here, this is a Lazy Gang stream. We're never consistent, and we we try to stream once a month. And recently, we've been able to. I feel
We've been
like,
good. We've been good.
yes,
Maybe we need to like bring in some more chaos energy because at this
yeah,
point
like
our brand is not
two in
branding.
1 month and then zero the month after or something. Like I feel like that would be
Yeah.
very on brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you're on my channel. I am Malin. I try, as you can see. My genres, whether reading or writing or watching, are magic, murder, and mayhem. And recently, the one I'm working on is sci-fi. So I feel like that falls under the magic because it's very sci-fi fantasy. And my lovely co-host is Anna. If you would like to introduce yourself, I always do the wrong side.
Hi everyone. My name is Anna Robbins. I'm a fantasy writer who sometimes makes videos, and I'm currently revising a gas lamp fantasy. So yeah,
Give the fake title, please.
the Malin gave me a fantastic project title, which I have been calling this Project Gemstone, but Malin has renamed it Gaslamp Gemstone Girl Boss, which just fits my main character really perfectly,
She
and
is
I'm
a girl
obsessed with
boss.
it. She
She is a girl
is.
boss. And
She
there are
is.
gemstones, and this is a gas lamp fantasy.
Yeah. And if I don't publish it with that title, then something's clearly wrong with me.
I see there's a bunch of comments, so we shall say hi to people in the chat. Hi, Stieg. Well, I think you did come back. Yes, I see another comment later on. Hope I remember to come back. I don't know when you wrote this one, but yes. Oh, it says 1:30. Okay, yeah. My time, so like 30 minutes ago. Hi, Keiko. How's it going? Hello, True Salent. I believe.
Ooh.
Tell me if I pronounce that wrong, and I will correct myself. Love the little avatar. It's very cute and very D&D-esque. Hello, Lindsay. How are you? Hi, Marta. How's it
Marta.
going? I think this was in reference to the theme song.
Yeah.
I agree. I love it.
It
And
is groovy. It is groovy. That's exactly the right adjective.
groovy is a vibe. For some reason, I'm getting desubscribed from you, and I have to resubscribe. That's cool because then I'll get notifications of people subscribing to me. So that's great. To be fair, I've seen this happen before. Like YouTube is very strange about this.
Hmm.
And I think it might have been because I recently passed the 1,000 subscribers thing, and YouTube is extremely suspicious of like fake accounts. And
Yeah.
they think anyone who may not have like posted something or like commented or I don't know. Sometimes they're like really like, ooh, this is suspicious that she got so many people in one go.
Yeah. When is your, because I'm so nosy, when is your 1,000 subscriber video coming out? Because I've been refreshing the feed, girl.
I've not filmed it yet. But it's coming. I was looking through the chapters because I believe the winner. So, if for anyone who does not know, put out. Um, I've decided to do a reward, like
Mhm.
a thank you video for 1,000 subscribers. Very inspired by the fact that Anna herself did a thank you video where she read her. When did you write it? Like your apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, it was a dystopian from 2017 through 2019.
Nice. And you reread it, but then you did like a little vlog of you rereading it. It was so lovely. So it was a really nice video to put out for a thank you for that.
I'm glad it
And
was lovely for you because it was torture for me.
yeah, but I think people enjoy watching others getting tortured so they don't
Mm,
have to torture themselves.
it's true.
So
It's true.
yeah, it's just the reality of YouTube. Um, I decided to read one chapter from any of my current work in progress books, and the one that has that is currently the highest is The Art of Summoning Demons.
Mm.
But The Art of Summoning Demons is the only one I said I wouldn't read the first chapter of, because I'm still working on redoing my query package so that I can query it. And I don't know why. There's no actual real reason. I just feel a bit strange reading out loud something that's going to go to agents. And I sort of felt like I'd rather read a random chapter in the middle that is like a good taste,
Yeah.
taster of what's to come in the books, basically.
I think that's really fun.
So I think I'm just struggling with deciding which chapter, and I might have landed on one, but maybe I'll discuss that with you afterwards because you've read it. So
my brain wheels are turning up here. I'm trying to think like what I would want it to be.
So this is one I sent to a friend a long time ago, a part of that chapter, and I actually still consider it as one of my favorite because it's still early on, and it's the one where she goes in the bank and she's in the vaults, and then the portraits.
Yeah,
so,
that's the one I thought of.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's good because it's still early on, but it's after all the slightly more boring setting the scene ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so there's still some action happening.
The way my heart raced when I read that chapter for the first time.
Good. And Steve did, in fact, remember coming back here. Keiko is procrastinating a term paper for a week. It's due in 7 days. Next week is going to be fun. Good luck with that. I remember those days. Love that. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but love it too. So there we go. I'm spending the rest of the month beta reading and outlining. Ooh, exciting. Are you still outlining your cowboy fantasy? Is that what we call it? A cowboy fantasy? It's got monsters. I guess that's fantasy. Yeah. Are you still outlining this, or are you outlining something else, basically? For quarter 2, I will finish my cowboy story. I swear. Yeah.
You will.
Gaslam Gemstone Girl Boss. Amazing.
Yeah. It is Malin's finest work.
But I can't believe we never thought of it before. I was just like, this is right there.
I'm so uncreative when it comes to titles. It doesn't surprise me at all that I missed such a golden opportunity.
Marta says, I swear every time you say Gaslight Fantasy, it makes me want to read it. And love that title. Lindsay, I'm working this morning a script for an opera musical theater show. Cool. That sounds exciting. Tell us more. What is it about? Stieg, Project Gaslight, Gemstone Gaslight, and I can't wait for it to see the shelves. Yeah, because the funniest thing about that title is that we keep changing it, and I think it's changed.
Oh yeah, I've said it different every single time, and I love that. Just keep swapping in different G words.
It's part of the Lazy Gang brand. It's just, we have to keep it consistent at all times. Amazing, perfect, good. You're making a 1K subscriber video. Yes, so that's the plan. Yes, she did do a 1K subscriber video as well.
It might have slipped under the radar as to that's why I made it. That's not like in the thumbnail or anything like that. But
you didn't say maybe that it was for that reason, so I don't really know what the people
just decided to suffer for funsies.
It was very enjoyable. As a subscriber, I enjoyed it.
It put me in a huge writing slump. Which we can talk about later. But
however, I'm going to counter that and say, actually, Ellen, that's not true. Because the reason why you were in a slump is because you were playing Baldur's Gate 3. And you cannot blame other reasons.
That's true. That is definitely the primary reason. That is definitely the primary reason.
I think it was.
My playthrough is complete. We're done. We're leaving it behind.
Well, do you need to have a moment for the aftermath of having finished it? Like, is it like when you read a really good book and you're like, I can't read anything anymore,
It kind of... I was expecting it to put me in a huge, hangover because the story was just so long and wonderful. But I was so eager to get it done because I was really just anxious to move on with my life. I knew it was sucking up so much of my time and I really wanted to get back into writing. So I kind of assigned myself to finish the game as soon as possible. So I was kind of just trying to get through it quickly. So I was just kind of relieved.
On this is extra fun, but also is this becoming toxic and sucking up everything else?
Yeah, this, I've been playing it since November. This needs to not go into April. This needs to be done now.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
And you did it. And
we did. And it was awesome.
Steek says your reread showed you your incredible growth. See, you suffered for a good reason.
It's true. It was very, very eye-opening, and I
Yeah.
would love if that video became a tag of sorts. I would love if anyone wanted to make that video, and if you are brave and courageous enough to pull a project off the shelf that you have not looked at in years, and it like gives you the heebie-jeebies to look at it, I would tell you to do the challenge and read it from
My only
beginning to end and make a video about it.
problem is all of my previous projects are in French, so I couldn't
That's
really
okay.
do the same exercise in the same way. And one of the main reasons I switched after I finished writing one book in French is because I was like, I don't think this is the language I want to tell my stories in. Like, it just didn't feel right. So I would probably feel the same way again and feel cringy whenever.
Well, maybe that means that it would be the right one to do. And like, I didn't show very much text in my video, so I feel like you could still explain like, here's what's happening, here's what I think went wrong.
So many things. A lot. Keiko says, I don't know what to work on. Kind of want to do my fanfic so I can post the third chapter, but also one of my original stories, but also want to play The Sims. Well, we're going to do more than one sprint. If you're really uncertain, you can be like, okay, first sprint, I'm going to do a little bit of this. Second, I'm going to do a little bit of that, etc. And that way, maybe you'll be like, actually, I'm really getting into this and I don't want to stop, so I'm going to continue with this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can have it all.
Yes, you can absolutely have it all. I'm so excited now to hear it. It's fantasy, yeah. Weird Western is how I've tagged it. I like that. Weird Western. It's a good. It rolls nicely off the tongue. So
yeah,
I like that. Weird Western. I wish it were more exciting as a showcase of different tunes. So all I'm writing is the blah 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 in between singing. Fair. I just altogether haven't seen that video, very behind on my friend's video because moving and work stuff and haven't caught up yet. That's absolutely fair. And I think we put ourselves a little bit, like I personally put a lot of pressure on myself when I watch friends' videos that I'm going to need to comment, while other people's videos I don't care enough to comment. If it's my friends, I'm like, I'm going to need to leave at least one comment. So I don't always watch it immediately because I'm like, no, because I'll need to be
I need to be in the headspace to pay attention. Yeah.
And not just in the background while doing something else, if that makes sense.
I watch all your videos twice because the first one is me just watching it immediately as soon as I see it, no matter what I'm doing. And then the second one is me coming back and leaving a comment.
I'm going to lay it out here now for anyone who watches my videos. If you don't want to leave a comment, I do not care. Like, it's okay. I don't need the engagement. I've reached 1,000. What more could I possibly want?
In fact, if people want to unsubscribe from me, that'd be great because it's a little frightening.
Take the pressure away.
Yeah.
No, but like generally, if anyone is like, I'll watch that video later because I want to leave a comment, don't do what I'm doing. just watch it. I don't care.
Don't create more work for yourselves.
Or if you really want to leave a comment, leave like an emoji. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, leave me some flame emojis.
Yeah, just leave me a little diamond gemstone and we're great.
Cute. I like that. I like that. I'm having such a hard time with titles and how to name the novel I'm working on, man. May I direct you to one of my recent videos on titles of novels, which is not, I don't know whether it's actual tips. It's more me thinking out loud about the process I go through to name a novel. But I think other people have also done videos on the topic. So maybe roam the internet, search on YouTube. There's some good tips out there.
Yeah.
Stieg agrees that BG3 is so long, still in Act 3.
Oh, Stieg, I need to know what kind of character you're playing and who are you romancing? I must know.
I feel like that's no one cares about your zodiac sign anymore. Everyone just wants to know who you're romancing. All of my previous projects are in Norwegian. Yeah, 100% feel you. Yeah, exactly. My challenge put me in a writing club. Also, Anna, you should do it.
Do it in between drafts when you're not, trying to finish something.
I have some old projects in Spanish and some in German, so I also feel that. Yeah, that's interesting, in 2 different languages.
I didn't know that you also spoke German, Marta. That's really cool.
Me neither. I need to pay attention, so I have something interesting to say about it. It's fine if you don't, is what I'm saying. My God, those comments keep on going. I need to get to a sprint.
I'll shut up.
No, you're fine, you're fine. How do you feel writing in English though? Because I'm so concerned that I'm not writing proper grammar and all compared to the native language I'm writing it, but I really want to publish in English. May I also direct you to another video of mine, which talks about writing in your second language. It has a name and I forgot what it was. And I did say it in my video, like it has an actual term describing that, but yes. Hi, Kelly. How's it
Hi,
going?
Kelly.
And oh, hi, Leanne. This is my real life friend who I
Oh my
met
gosh,
in
a
Edinburgh.
real lifer.
Yes, I actually have friends in real life.
The worlds are colliding.
I told her to come to my stream because she's reading Richard Osman's fourth book, I think, in the Thursday Murder Club. And I was like,
Cool.
use the sprints to read. You don't have to write. Like you can do
Yeah.
whatever. If I do get us to a sprint, that is. I'm gonna skip the answers between people. That's how I'm gonna do it. Also, engines like Grammarly, yeah, I do use Pro Writing Aid. Titles are sometimes hard for me. I don't know. Yeah. For a second, I was like, "Is that actual German?" No, it's not, because of the tremor on
Yeah.
the O. I'm playing a wild magic barbarian, and my boot is Hudson. If you know, you know.
This is an excellent choice. This is an excellent choice.
I'm going to be working Creature Feature. Is that the name of a project, or are you referring to something I just did not follow? In which case, I'm sorry. Malin's the sundial seller in Hercules. Am I interested in what am I doing? Yeah, it's literally what I'm doing.
Well, it just means that you've made a lot of videos on relevant topics.
And I'm so glad that they came relevant today because normally I don't do that. So I was like, oh, for once, I've actually done some stuff out there. Having friends in real life, what's that like? Yeah, exactly. Well, when I say in real life, this is a long distance friendship at this point because Leanne still lives in Edinburgh and not in London. So that's the reality. I originally started with Will, but the man does not put out so I quickly.
Yeah.
I'll say. I like that that's the reason. All right. I got a small sprint to start it on because we both need to get our shit together. And I want to go make a coffee, get my document ready, etc. And then we'll get a more chunky one in after. But the first one I'm going to get us is Violet's 11:11 bubble tea timer.
Cute.
For it. And I also have some questions, but we'll get into the first question after, I think, because we've chatted for like 18 minutes now, so we might as well.
Sounds good. We do not promise efficiency here. This is
No.
casual productivity.
I think I feel more pressure because I made my friend come over onto this stream promising her sprints. And now I'm just like, we haven't sprinted yet.
That's true. That's true.
All right. Share screen. Find this bubble tea timer. There we go. Is that sharing? Yes.
Yes.
I will get us started in 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Oh, let me stop this before it continues. There we go.
How'd you do?
Good. Sorry, I just had to stop videos from playing automatically.
No problem.
Good. I got myself a coffee. I prepped my file and everything, and I wrote 169 words.
Nice.
So it's always nice to do a little bit at the beginning just to get back into it and remind myself where I was at and what that scene was all about.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the people where you are in terms of writing the end?
Yes, so I'm working in Space Princess Project, which I've redubbed recently Starcatcher, and I'm currently at towards the end. I have like a list of beats slash chapters, like one beat, maybe more than one chapter, depending on how long it ends up being when I actually write it. And I'm writing this one that is essentially the new plan, like after the Hightower surprise and the finale. And then after that, I have, I think, 4 chapters slash beats left.
Oh my God.
So I'm very close, but I'm already at 119,000.
Oh my
I
gosh,
keep
Miss Brandon Sanderson over here.
I keep having to remind myself this is sci-fi, and it's the first one as well. So there's so much world building that
Yeah.
has to go in there. And I am an overwriter. Like there's so many bits where I'm just like, I'm gonna have to reduce this message. Like this is blah blah for the sake of blah blah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm conscious of that. It will be reduced, hopefully.
Yeah.
How did you do?
I did well. I did a bunch of vloggy bits so I can get those out of the way and just write for the rest of the stream. So all the typey and all that. And yeah, just got my document up and I am starting chapter 14 today
Exciting. Out of how many in
out
total?
of 36.
Okay,
So I've been really good in trying to get a chapter done a day since I finished Baldur's Gate last week.
nice.
Which has been good. So I've made a lot of progress. I've done like 5 chapters in like 7 or 8 days or something like that.
Good.
And I really want to try and get to 18 by the end of March because then that's halfway and that just feels nice.
Yeah. And do you have a plan for when you want to be finished by, or are you sort of just we'll see how April goes?
I really want to be done by April.
Okay.
Yeah, I really want to be done by April. And I know Hudson also wants to be done by April, so we can do our triangle swap.
Yes.
And I don't want to be the person that's holding up the triangle swap.
You will not
So,
hold the triangle. It's a great name for it, by the way.
yeah.
Um, I missed a couple of comments while we were starting the sprint. So I'll just quickly go through. Keiko saying I have to wait until next year for Baldur's Gate 3. How come? Is that like a console thing or
I'm
just
not sure. But just think by the time you get it, it'll be all patched. It won't be broken. All the stuff, the weird bugs will be fixed. So, not that
that's
there's a lot
a
anymore,
good
but
point. That
you're
is a
going to
good
get a
point.
perfect version.
Truslan said, let's go. And we did, in fact, go, finally. And Kelly explained that a creature feature is a horror story where some sort of monster is the antagonist. I did not know that. Sounds fun.
Yeah. I would love
Nice.
to know what your monster is.
Yeah. What is the antagonist in this one? Hi, Caitlin. How's
Hi,
it
Caitlin.
going? Yes, I'm sorry. Do you know what? Maybe next one I can, not share the sound from a video when I share the video, so I can maybe do that. The only thing is then you will be scared when I'm first talk again. So decide which
Yeah,
one.
pick your poison.
Opened the beta reading document, tinkered with a D&D mood board I made, got a Beveragino, and now ready for realsies. Nice. Yeah, that was the point of a small little 11 minutes one, is like, get your shit together, basically.
Yeah, get your dicking around out of the way.
Exactly. My phone did the thing earlier where it refuses to let me copy a video to my computer because it's too low on
Oh
memory.
no.
Spent the past hour or so organizing, deleting old photos, and I finally deleted enough stuff for it to let me move the video across. oh, I'm sorry, that sounds annoying and painful to do. And I don't really know whether that's like an iPhone thing or something, or if it's a general thing. Yeah. I got 48 words written. Nice start.
Very good.
Excellent. Triangle swap, love it. And I also jealous of regional books too. And also they'll be in very various stages of readiness, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I watched a No YouTube video. By the way, Malin, still have to watch your 10K weekend one. When was the 10K again? Actually managed to do 9.4K.
Wow.
Amazing. My 10K weekend, I think, was the last weekend of Feb. I think that's when I did it. It was a really last minute random decision one to make. It was after I came back from Barcelona. I was rereading a sci-fi novel, and it made me want to reread my own and to continue writing in it. And then as soon as I finished rereading it, I was like, okay, I need to outline the end. And suddenly I was like, I have motivation to write, but I need to make progress in the beats. And like, if anything, right now, I do not care about words to the point where I'm like, stop writing more words. It's too many. But I care about moving forward in the story and getting finished with the beats, if that makes sense.
I think that's the best kind of 10K weekend, is the spontaneous one where you decide like the day before that you're going to do it. Because I think if I was to say like, okay, April, like whatever, 15th, I'm going to do a 10K weekend. And from here until then, I would be like afraid and dread and like plan, but then can I live up to my expectations and like blah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I did it because I was left alone for the weekend. Jamie was at a work event, and he like, it's all the way across the other side of London. And honestly, we're not even in London anymore. We're in Surrey. So it's like it would take so long to travel back for him to be there early in the morning first thing, which he had to be. So he ended up taking like a room next door to the event. And I was like, well, this is perfect timing for me to just do a bunch of writing.
Yeah. Let me just go goblin mode.
Exactly. I think you can just turn the volume down on the YouTube tab. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. I'll do that. I'll try to remember to do that. It's because of a new computer, but waiting for all the bugs and glitches to be fixed is also one of the reasons. Unfortunately, there will be no DLC, and I respect Sven Vick. I don't know how you pronounce his name, for this decision.
Yeah, I'm with you, Keiko. I'm really sad, but it makes me sadder that the developers had such a rough time.
Saying at an event they were not going to do another game, they were not going to do expansions, nothing. And a lot of the comments were saying, yeah, I don't blame him. People from Wizards of the Coast and people from whatever are really difficult to work with, apparently, and stuff like that. So,
it makes me really sad that like the developer team had such an awful time because they made something so amazing. And it makes me sad that it wasn't like amazing on the other side, which is probably naive because game development is so intense.
But sounds like it. But also people love the game. And if anything, I feel like sometimes when you try to recreate the success of something, you just fail miserably. So maybe it's a better decision to and focus on something completely different. And they might still revisit that decision and one day come back on it and be like, do you know what? It's a different team now. We could redo this. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Oh, yeah. He went on a rant on this one award thing. It's on YouTube where he criticized the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Fair.
So.
It was extremely annoying and painful. It tends to do that with videos over 30 minutes, which is why I never film sit-down videos. Every time I try, I end up in iPhone memory management hell. Okay.
Yeah, I will say, like, this is the reason why I don't have Apple products anymore, and my phone is a Google phone, because the management of memory is so hellish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also on a Pixel, and I do pay for like extra storage space because I film so many bits for vlogs and things like that, that I just, like, every now and then I go and clean up some bits, but I'm like, what do I keep? What do I not keep? And it's just, I don't want to have to do this.
Same. I just recently went through and deleted like all my footage from videos that I did in 2020 and 2021. And like I kept like the more nostalgic ones where maybe I'm like talking about something. But like the ones of me just like typing or just like making tea or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah,
bye.
like the B-roll stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have cleared up recently on my Dropbox, like the old videos files from like 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
Can't remember. But yeah. It's I don't want to become a hoarder with files,
Right.
know?
Same.
I just want to make sure, like, when am I ever going to use this again? Okay, delete. If I
Right.
really need some footage that's actually been published, I can just go back to the actual YouTube video.
Yeah. It helps that I'm like, it's on YouTube,
Yeah,
like it's done its purpose.
yeah, exactly.
That's fine.
Which novel are you swapping for this ménage à trois, Malin? So I will be swapping Space Princess Project, Starcatcher. We'll be hopefully getting the latest revision of Gaslamp Gemstone Girl Boss.
Uh-huh.
And I don't actually know even a project title for Hudson's novel.
I'm gonna make her tell me a project title the next time we
But
talk
she
because
doesn't have a project title.
it's her main fantasy project, and I think we should pressure into picking a silly project title.
Yeah. Well, everyone needs a silly project title. Otherwise, what do you call it to other people once you have several projects? You got to
Yeah.
differentiate them. So yeah.
Yeah.
My creature is a homunculus, so a little dude made of clay by a mad scientist as a helper. He goes on a
Ooh.
rampage in the local town. That sounds so cute and not horror. Like, it just
Yeah.
sounds adorable. Even though you said rampage, but I'm thinking cute rampage, which is probably not a thing. I'm probably doing a 10K stream on my channel on April 13th.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Well, I hope that you do not dread it and that you just go into it like with fresh energy, because I would be scared.
When is April 13th? Is that like a day or in the week, or is it a weekend?
It is a day of the week.
Shush. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, Andy. How's it going?
Hello.
We haven't decided on time yet. Okay. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant, and not a made scientist. Gotcha. Hasbro owns Wizard of the Coast, who again owns D&D. Wizard of the Coast is not in good graces anyway, since what is the OGL thing?
I may not explain this completely correctly, but there was a big debacle last year where Wizards of the Coast basically was trying to like monetize the things that people make with D&D content, which it's been published under an open license this whole time, so that like people who make D&D shows and other spin-offs and podcasts and art and comics that use D&D content like don't owe anything back to Wizards of the Coast, and they tried to like kind of retcon that, and it was a shit show, and they basically had to like walk it all back and be like, just kidding, we won't do that, and because they got so much hate for
Backlash. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that sounds like it would have had that. Yeah, fair. Okay, I did not know about that. The U.S. Department of Justice didn't like charge through Apple for having a monopoly? Yeah, I saw that recently. Yeah. The videos of me making table kitchen are so nostalgic to me now that I've moved.
Yeah. I know. Sometimes I look at my old videos from when we lived in Boston, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just everything is so different.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I have much nostalgia linked to places I've lived in because I've moved too much since moving to the UK. That it's been like, at some point it was one flat per year. So it was just like, how can I possibly care? But yeah, I try to attach the emotions to the memories themselves rather than to the location of those memories.
Yeah. I think it's almost because I was writing in that apartment that makes it more nostalgic to me. Like the other apartments I lived in, I don't care. But just seeing me start my like NaNoWriMo projects on my computer in our living room because it was the pandemic and I had to work from our living room, and just what a time. What a time.
What a time. When I get like those memories things, like on Google Photos, I'll be like 5 years ago. I'm just like, yeah, it was the beginning of the pandemic and we didn't even know it.
We didn't even know it.
Definitely a file holder, and I refuse to change. I will hold all my files forever. Fair. I just at some point I've decided, that money is worth the comfort of not having to delete everything all the time and clean through my files.
Yeah.
Um, but not everyone wants to or can afford to pay extra for like storage spaces and stuff like that. It's just it's a choice I've made. It's a Saturday, yes. And this is going to be campy fun. And the local cops are so beautiful shit. It sounds adorable.
Sounds really funny.
I'm really out of the loop with whole Larian. Yeah. Yeah, Larian. Okay. And Wizard of the Coast thing going on. Yes. I didn't really know what was going on. They even made the player's handbook PDF for free.
Did they? I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah, I feel like I saw that. It might have been Wallace who talked about this because of the D&D game on the Blank Page Tavern. That's how I got it. Just have to print it, which is even cheaper than buying the book for $40. Yeah, fair. I'm also looking at videos on how to make a bookshelf for this one nook in my living room. Delulu enough to manage it. You can
do it. A bookshelf is all straight lines.
Yeah, and also I just feel like once you've watched a YouTube video about it, you're good.
You're an expert, man. You are a woodworker. You're a woodwright. You could do it.
Delulu is the Salulu. Exactly. I'm gonna bookmark this at some point. I do want to see. I haven't seen the full rant. I've only seen bits on TikTok, I think.
Yeah.
These people have. I think I need to get a profile pic because I'm getting confused with Kelly's and mine comments being read. Yeah, I think we mentioned that last time. There was a stream, maybe on the Troublemakers, I feel like, where both of you were commenting as well. And I was like, there's two Ks and they're both in the gray circle.
Yeah.
Cool. So now that I've gone through all the comments, I did have a theme initially today for some questions. I feel like sometimes we prep these in case we don't have anything to talk about. And right now I'm struggling to find time to put this in. But I decided on drafting versus revising because I'm currently finishing my first draft I've outlined it. So I'm going to call it a first draft of Space Princess Project. And you're currently doing round 2 of revisions? Yes.
It's my third draft, second time revising.
Yes. So round 2 of revisions, but like round 3 of drafting, I guess.
Yeah.
In a way.
It's all made up.
Exactly. We decide on the words. So yes. Yeah. So I got some questions related to that topic in general. And feel free to answer in the comments if you're also thinking about what your process is between the two, between drafting and revising. And so I just sort of wondered how people measure their progress when it comes to drafting versus revisions. Because when I'm drafting, I've been thinking about this a lot as an overwriter. When I'm drafting, everyone always counts words, right? Like everyone is always like, how many words are you writing per month or per session or whatever it is? And I'm currently in a situation where I wish I was writing less words because I feel like, oh my God, it's so many, you need to stop.
Less words, but more progress.
But I feel like because that progress has always been calculated in terms of word counts, that's just how I ended up becoming an overwriter.
Yeah, because you're like, well, if I write more, I'll get to the end faster. And now you're learning that's
which is not
necessarily the case.
Because then in revisions, I have to go back to delete a bunch of words, which is why I wouldn't count my revisions in terms of word count. And I tend to do by chapter or by pages if I'm like, I have this many pages and I just I've done like 30 out of 250 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's the same. I think both in drafting and revising, it's progress through the beat sheet. And when I was like zero drafting Project Gemstone, I had no clue how long it was going to end up being. That was at the time when I thought I was going to be posting it as a serial. So I really didn't like care how long or short it ended up being. I just had an arc. I had a beat sheet, and just whenever I reached the end was going to be the end. And it ended up being like, I think just short of 70. I think it was in the like mid 60s. And so it was just like, oh, I'm suddenly at the end. I'm doing the Hightower surprise. I'm doing the, the new plan, and that's really exciting. And just seeing the beats go by.
Yes. And I feel like before I didn't really use to outline. So as a pantser, word count was useful. But now that I'm outlining more and that I've become more of an outliner, crazy, I like to count per beat as well, because
Yeah.
even if they're not beats, but just sort of like sub beats or whatever, like the plan that I've made can also almost be in bullet points and in my head,
Right.
especially for Starcatcher, because it is dual POV. I sort of know, okay, I'm going to have this character react to this that they've just seen from this character, and then chapter after we'll swap over again to Orion, and then she'll need to react to that thing, etc. And so I have like beats in that sense,
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
even
sort of,
more layered with two characters.
yeah, because I had to make essentially 2 beat sheets in total. Well, technically it's 3, but I would say Orion's and the main beat sheet are essentially the same because she's the main character.
Right.
And then Morgan's beat sheet is his secondary beat sheet. So he's already finished with his finale,
Yeah.
um,
He's
which
he's
he's
done.
not done. Now you just look pretty over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been counting more per beat now because the progress has been more when can I get to the end rather than
hmm
how many words can I write, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. For me, word count right now that I'm trying to make this more of a novel, I've been keeping an eye on the word count just to try and like bulk it up, and hopefully that's a sign of like my subplots are getting better, my side characters are getting better.
Yeah.
And also not wanting to be not wanting it to be too terribly long that I've gone overboard with these things. So right now it's sitting right at 90, which I think is probably good. And
That's really good. Yeah. That's
yeah,
probably that. I don't really know if there's like a specific number for Gaslamp Fantasy in general. Like if there's,
I think um
but
because
you're,
it's supposed to be like a kind of fun, a bit
yeah,
of a campy novel, I do kind of want it to go by quickly.
there's a
Um
coziness aspect to it. Like it's not full on a cozy book, but there's a
mhm.
coziness aspect to it, which usually they do tend to be a bit shorter rather than on
Yeah.
the longer side. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it to go too far into like this is a chunky fantasy territory.
Mm.
Because the world building is interesting but probably light. And so I like where it's
It
at right now.
comes through well enough without needing a bunch of exposition and a bunch of like
Yeah.
info dumps. So I feel like, yeah, you don't really need to add extra descriptions here and there.
Hopefully.
At least as you know, as of the last draft that I read, the last
Yeah.
version.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I've got some answers in the chat as well. Oh, also, Seek says that his brother is a carpenter, so you can enlist some help.
Oh, very good.
This kind of vision first. You need to make a mood board.
Oh.
I've never completed anything to revise, but in drafting, I like to measure progress by beats. Word counts are stressing me. Yeah,
Mhm.
I feel like word counts can easily verge on toxic productivity sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've probably been a victim of that before, which is why I have now become an overwriter. And I feel like I'm often like, well, I'm still writing and there's more words, so this is good, instead of stopping to be like, I'm gonna have to delete all of this later
What am
anyway.
I accomplishing here?
Yeah. So I like this idea of progress by beats. Um, when I finish beats points in the story structure, revision I can't comment on because I've never finished a draft yet. Fair enough. But yeah, at some point, depending on whether you feel like you're an overwriter or an underwriter, I feel like underwriters might be more like, I need to add words, therefore I'm going to count words in revision.
Yeah. I am definitely an underwriter, and revision, I am keeping an eye on like the overall word count, because if
Yeah.
I'm not bulking it up very much, then for because I'm such an underwriter that if I'm not bulking it up the first pass, then I'm worried.
Yeah, fair. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. This is funny because the video I was struggling with moving footage for just now is literally about how I organize and track my revisions.
I would
Well,
love to know.
do you want to give us a sneak peek as to what's in the video? Or are you like, no, I'm keeping it under wraps? But if yes, you can tell us how it works for you. Steve says, I do count words in terms of progress too, of sorts. When I finish Act 1, for example, I look at the total word count to see what the act is. If my goal is
Mm,
100K, then I know that 25K for Act 1 is just where I want it to be, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
That's a
Yes, it
very good
does.
point, Stieg. I did also pay attention to like where certain beats fall as far as percentage wise. For
Yeah.
instance, I've been getting a little in my head about my pacing because the beginning
Yeah.
of Project Gemstone is a little bit slow, and um, the main kind of mystery doesn't kick in until about 30K, and I'm like, don't know about that. So that's
But I
one
think,
tool.
yeah, but but it's not boring. Like you don't feel bored until that happens. That's the
That's good.
thing.
That's good.
I feel like there is such a thing as over, like people trying too much to match something to the Save the Cat Beachy,
Yeah, yeah,
and like not everything needs to match it exactly. And sometimes the beauty of certain books is that it doesn't. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, I that's why I'm like when I talk about beats, I actually mean my own beats rather than Save the Cat. But yes.
True.
Oh, Nina says hi. Hello. Popping in to say hi while I'm still on stream with Zara. Nice. Hope it's going well. And Marcia says, in general, I use time tracking for both to keep track of how much I'm working on it. And for how far from the end I am, I use chapters/parts for drafting and number of problems remaining to be fixed for the next draft for revising. Yes. Yeah. I think I do that when it comes to revisions. I'm more of a chapter/parts counter. That's what I
Yeah.
use. Just because but it's also confusing because some chapters I'm like, there's almost nothing to fix there. And then some chapters I'm like, wow, I have to rewrite the whole thing.
Yep. That's
So
exactly where I am currently.
it's very unbalanced. And you might be like, I am flying through this. And then suddenly you're stuck on the same chapter for 5 days.
Literally just happened to me. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem, is like you'd almost want to make a list of all the things you plan on fixing and then
Yeah.
go through that list and be like, I'm halfway through my list. I have like 24 things on my list and I've done 12,
Yeah. That would overwhelm me for sure. I have everything kind of attached to the chapter notes. So when I open a chapter, I just see like what you and Steve said about that specific chapter.
Mm,
So I'm like, okay, I have like 3 things in this chapter. And that feels very easy because you're like, three
yeah.
things. I can do 3 things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to get overwhelmed by I have this many things to do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a list girly. I love making a bunch of lists all the time. So I like to make several versions of the same list in different places so I can tick it multiple times.
Me too. I have a chapter tracker in like 8 different places right now.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I do the same at work, and like, I'll have my PDF with the comments from my boss on something, and then I'll also have a Notion list where I've made a list of all the things I want to make it done. It's just satisfying. I like to tick
Yeah.
things. Nina says, I almost always make my chapter outline have 4 main parts. Act 1 to beginning, Act 2, beginning of Act 2 to the middle, middle to end of Act 2, and Act 3, and have the chapter outline under those headings. Yeah, that's what I've been doing now as well, since I've become more attached to the Save the Cat beat sheet. And I get confused for every now and then. I'm like, but Act 3 is only this, like, it's so short. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's meant to be a fourth and not a third.
Yeah.
But it's confusing because it's called the 3-act structure. And I change the color of each chapter that is done to a light gray. And when I am done with a part, I also change the color of the heading to gray, trying to get away from only looking at word counts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the word count thing comes from a culture running around, like going around this NaNoWriMo thing that we are all obsessing over every now and then.
Yeah.
And it's not the best way to count progress. I don't know.
I have a question. Speaking of, Nina said like changing the color to signify that you're done. So I've been in my chapter list, like putting a little like check emoji next to the chapters that I've
I like that.
finished revising, which I am showing in the vlog, which means I'm showing all my chapter titles in the vlog. Do we think that that is too spoilery?
I can't remember if your chapter titles themselves are spoilery or not, but
It's hard for me to say because I know what happens in the chapter titles, so I
mm,
don't know. I can't tell like how vague they are. Like, how would you guys feel if you saw just all
I
chapter
would
titles? Would you be
I
like,
would
ah, I don't
enjoy
want to know
it, I think.
anything?
But it depends on people, like the way that people feel about spoilers. I personally I love spoiling myself. Um a minimum, like just a little bit, because I feel like it's almost like a teaser. It's the same
Yeah,
way you get a sneak peek of a movie by watching the trailer, sometimes a bit too much. But
true.
but sometimes knowing what's going to happen is what makes me watch the movie. Like
Oh yeah, I like the
knowing that it's
trailer
going to follow a
comparison.
certain formula. I don't know. I find that I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind it because I'd be like, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds
Okay.
interesting. It's like seeing, like how TV shows used to have titles for their episodes sometimes, like in Friends.
Yeah, I wish they would. I wish they would. Yeah.
And it gives you like a little teaser of what's to come. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay.
fun.
I'll leave it in because I've been debating on including that or not.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Lynn says, I count new words I add while editing. I find that helps me feel like I'm making progress. 10 words here and there really adds up. But when I don't count the new words, I feel like I did nothing. Yeah, but I guess my issue with that is that I need to delete words so that I would need to count how many words I delete.
Malin would be in the negative.
Yeah. A proof of making a bookshelf, just FYI, and wants a table. Just saying. Hi, Emma. How's
Hi,
it
Emma.
going? How are you? And thank you very much for clicking on the like button. Steek says, yeah, like Captain Barbatos says, they're more like guidelines than actual rules. I feel like when it comes to, I don't know if you're talking about book writing or bookshelf making. If you're talking about bookshelf making, I feel like you should probably follow the rules.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm going to say here. I'm an underwriter who zero drafts, so I pay attention to word count to make sure there are words on the page and telling myself the story.
Mhm.
In revisions, it's more about bulking up word counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. You can do three things, Anna.
Yeah.
I know I keep saying I'm excited for GGG, but
Uh,
I truly am.
Thank you.
Hi, Flora.
Hi,
How are
Flora.
you? Hope everyone is having a nice Sunday. Yes, indeed. We're going to get another sprint very, very soon, very promptly, because we've been streaming for an hour.
And we've only sprinted for 11 minutes.
Yeah. I think that's fine. Like a little treat for people who pay attention. Yep, chapter titles are teasers and not spoilers. Yeah,
Okay, that
that's
makes
correct.
me feel better.
Yeah. Trying to keep nano word counts gives me major anxiety. Yeah, I end up being like, I've written too many words, and that was a problem, and I shouldn't have done this because I'm gonna be the one to clean them up. I was talking about sticking to the beats, even if it doesn't make any sense for your story. Okay, so not bookshelf making. Yes,
Yeah.
beats are guidelines, not rules. Agreed. What is people's camp nano goal? I don't think I'm going to do camp because I'm probably going to be finished with, hopefully, Space Princess by the end of this month. There's no way I'm zero drafting something else.
Oh
As soon as
gosh.
it's
Please. Please.
not doing it. I'm going to take a break.
Yeah, I'm just going to be trying to do the second half of this book over again.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. And I think I will probably. There's other stuff I need to focus on. Outlining book 2 of The Art of Summoning Demons. I need to revise Lockhart and Beckett. There's a bunch of other stuff that are not zero drafting that I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna get us a chunky one. How does that
Yeah.
sound right? Like to get some actual. Let me get rid of this banner now that we've entered this. And where are my timers? How do we feel about, is 45 minutes too much?
I think we should because we have
Yeah,
chatted quite a bit.
that's how I feel too. I'm like, we should get a 45 one in, get stuff done, and then we can chat again.
Yeah.
All right, let's share my screen. I have got a lovely Laura timer.
Amazing.
It's beautiful. Cool. I'll get us started in 3, 2.
Don't forget the volume.
Oh yes. I'll do that after I've started playing because it's on the other tab. In 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Hi, how did it go?
Good. That went by very
Yeah,
quickly.
I felt that too.
I finished chapter 14, so I did basically one whole chapter,
Nice.
which was nice. And I made a lot of notes for my next chapter because this next one is a new one that I'm drafting completely from scratch.
Nice.
So I have like a lot of notes on the like plot threads that I need to carry through, but I don't have ideas for like the set piece of the chapter yet. So I'm still ruminating on what's the thing that they're actually doing in this chapter while all of the
Hmm.
subplots are
Yeah,
evolving. Yeah.
but fun and good job on finishing another one. So that's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I think I'm
Yes.
gonna pull in an idea that I had when I was thinking about the zero draft. I hadn't even written it yet, and I had just made a list of like common TV trope ideas.
I remember you doing that. Yeah, that was quite
Yeah.
an exercise.
Yeah, and I had one that I didn't get to use, so I think I will try and pull that in. So we'll see.
Okay,
Yeah.
exciting.
How about you?
I wrote 1,000 words, which again is
Woo!
not my goal. I'm not doing, I'm not trying to write more words.
But do you feel like you got closer?
Yeah, I yes and no. Like it's like one step forward, one step back because I wrote like I finished the chapter I was in before, but then I was like, I actually think this like I was looking at my turn of POVs, and I think that's sometimes what makes me
Mm,
change my mind about certain things. Is I'm like, this chapter would best serve this character, this chapter would best serve this character, and like some things I want to put into the POV of Orion, and some things I'm like, this would be better if it was Morgan's. Um,
mm,
and so I changed my mind about one of those. But essentially, this has like a romance that is a thread within the plot. It has taken a step back compared to the beginning of when I started writing. I was like, this will be a romance, and then it became like a lot more political and
yeah,
about like it became something else, an
right.
entire different beast. But the romance is still important, and I took it as a more slightly slow burn than I would have. So there's a chapter when they're finally gonna do it that I'm planning in my head, and I'm like, I wanted to be her POV because the
Mhm.
last semi-sexy time they had was his POV, and I like to swap
Mm,
around,
yeah.
if that makes sense. And so I changed my mind about the order of some things, and now, although I finished a chapter, I still have 5 left, even though that's what I had before. Because suddenly I was like,
Oh.
this could actually be an entire chapter from his POV and this from her POV. So
You
yeah,
have to kind of split things. Yeah.
yes. But I have reached 120K in the manuscript.
Oh my
So
god.
it'll probably be 130K, I'm assuming. I feel like that
Wow.
will be. I don't know if it's going to take me another 10K. It might not. It might be shorter than that. Um, but yeah, I've written 20K this month. 21
Oh my
actually.
gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, because
really solid.
when I started this month, I was at 100K exactly, I think. So
Wow, that's excellent. Yeah, when I'm drafting like 10K a month is like kind of solid for me, balanced with work and life and all
but
that. So 20
I
is
did do a
excellent.
10K weekend, to be fair. Although that was last
Oh,
month, wasn't
that was
it?
February, you said.
Yeah, that was in February. I was
So
like,
you're just crushing it.
but yeah, there are some days when I have 0 in this month, and then some days when I've written 2.5K, and so it's really just like it's
Hmm.
not consistent, but it's getting me there. So that's all I really
Yeah,
want.
when you sit down, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, I again, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm doing great from the point of view of word counts, but I'm not trying to hit any more words. I'm just trying to hit these
Mm,
beats. So
yeah.
it's frustrating when I'm like, I've written another, like I'm at 20K for the month, yet I'm not finished. Even though that was initially my plan was 20K to finish. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a bit frustrating. But I don't want to skip over the emotions and everything. Like I'm at the moment when everything is happening, and
Yeah.
there's so much to take into account because I'm also setting up the next characters, because like this is a series of individual novels, like a series of standalone romances
Yeah.
in this
Interconnected.
universe. And the character I'm setting it up next for it's important that it gets settled for her as well. So,
Yeah, that's a lot to balance.
yeah. So it's a big chunky book. How did everyone else do? So Keiko said, I jumped the stupid fight scene I still have to write, and the quest fetching scene, and jumped to the convo between the MC and love interest / rival. Ooh. I love writing a fight scene though. I feel like that's probably one of my favorite scenes to write.
Really? Oh, you can write mine from here on out.
Yeah, give me all your fight scenes. I'll happily do it.
I just always feel so robotic when I write them because I'm just like, he did this and then this and that. And it just like, I get really like,
I think it's
yeah,
because like it depends what you consider your strength when you write, but one of the only things that I'm like proudly claiming as one of my strengths is my pacing, and I feel like that's why I enjoy writing fight scenes, because the pacing has to be so different from other scenes in a book.
yeah,
When you're writing a description of like she's discovering this university setting and like looking at things and blah blah blah, so different from like action action action, you know.
very,
And I think that's why I really enjoy the sudden change of pace.
yeah, I see
But
that.
yeah. Marcia says, I'm going through and organizing all my problems to solve list and deciding what I want to tackle for draft 5. Like, oh, draft 5, it sounds so scary, even though, like, I know it's normal, but it sounds scary. Not counting, but I think I went through 80, 100-ish that sprint.
Nice.
Nice. Hi again. How's
Hi,
it going
Nina.
again? Is the stream you were on finished, or is it a break? Kelly says, I had some lunch, then got 251 words written. Nice. Good job. Marta, I think consistent work counts, and working full-time don't mix well, to be honest. Yes. And if I were to analyze my month, I can guarantee you all the days I have written 0 are Mondays, because that's the day I am forced to go into an office.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Don't worry. I got that. I did nothing but look at bookshelves. Well, that's progress, because that's also a task you've set up to do, and so you need to make mood boards.
Market research.
Exactly. Hi, Minuk. How's it going? Did I once again miss everything? No, we're still going. I actually did not check with Anna before starting the stream how long she wants to go for.
I'm fine. If we do another sprint, I'll probably make my lunch during that sprint, since I've finished a chapter for the day, so I feel pretty good about that.
Perfect. We can do like a 30-minute one next or something like that. Unless that's not enough to make your lunch, then I can do another.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. Oh, what? Yeah, exactly. What was that about? Was it about me commenting back on a comment? Sorry. Well, the fight scene thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, because my brain does not remember anything.
No, I was right there with you.
True Salon says, I'm not writing this stream, but drawing instead. I'm almost finishing up the drawing for today. Amazing.
Excellent.
What are you currently drawing? Is it a character? Is it for a specific story? Or like, what is it? Just random? Tell us more. Yes, stream is over. Nice. Come hang out with us. I mean, if you think about it, I rewrote this book 3 times, making it basically a whole new book every time. Okay, yeah. So it is draft 5, or is it draft 3, if you think about it that way? Yeah. I guess, yeah, because you would consider the 3rd time around a new first draft.
Yeah. Feels like starting from scratch, probably.
Well, it depends. Like, I feel like these are all just very vague terms that we use when we say like 0 drafts, first drafts, etc. It's preferences, how you want to name it.
Yeah.
I hate your Monday office hours for you, Malin. It's very unbecoming. I agree. Why don't you tell this to my bosses?
Yeah.
Since we are still talking about drafting versus revising, I shall pop out question number 2, which is sort of like that time between drafting and revising. How do you know when it is time for the start of revisions? And I don't mean when you're done with a draft, because obviously you're done when you write the end and you're like, this is the first time.
Yeah.
But when do you feel like you've had enough of a break between the two? And some people, I think, jump in immediately after, or depending on project, might jump in immediately after. And similarly, between two rounds of revision, because I feel like sometimes you're like, I've looked at this too much. At least that's how
Yeah.
I feel. And I need a
Yeah.
break between
Yeah.
rounds of revision.
Yeah, I think I definitely have been in both situations where I took a break in between drafts, and then also I was that person last year who finished a draft and then right like the following week basically turned right around and started revising it. So I've done both, but I think how to know when it's time is when I have a plan for what I'm doing in the next draft. So I
Yeah.
never want to go in and just say, let's just start making it better and just start from the beginning and just pants revising basically.
Yeah.
Like I very much need to take time to set up what I'm doing in every chapter, what needs to be accomplished, and not just what needs to change, but how I'm going to change it to do that.
Yeah. Like have an actual plan of action and not just a list of
Yeah,
problems.
right.
Yeah.
So for me, that means like, for instance, in this revision, I'm working on my side character a lot. And so before I started this draft, I went through and I marked, I'm putting a new chapter here, I'm putting a new chapter here. I'm adding this information about her here, 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 and here.
I am so excited to read those down.
And so I've really broken it down into like very black and white steps of how I'm addressing this.
Yeah.
And I never want to go into a revision without having very black and white plans about what I'm doing, because then I think it can just feel very free floaty and you don't feel like you know if you're getting anything done or if you're really
Yeah.
making it better or if you're just changing things.
I think it goes back to that question about how you calculate progress. And there's something about being able to have an like a finish line in mind and an
Yeah.
end result in mind that helps you progress. Otherwise, as you say, you feel like you're floating around and just not really accomplishing
Right.
anything. But
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my God, Zainab. Hi.
Hi.
How are you? We are talking about revising versus drafting. And yeah, so I'm very interested in other people's processes because I feel like even from one book to the next, I feel quite different between how I would handle one
Mm.
book to the next. And technically, I say this as though I know what I'm doing after writing multiple novels, except that I don't, because the only novel I've fully finished revising is The Art of Summoning Demons. I've
Yeah, I
not
mean,
gone.
I'm in the same boat. Like Project Gemstone
Yeah.
is really the first book that I've done like multi rounds on.
Yeah. And when it comes to taking a break between the process of drafting and then the first revision round, so Lockhart and Beckett is the other one that I really want to jump back in because I'm like, this has been too long of a break at the moment. Like
Yeah.
it's just been because I've been drafting a lot more. Like I essentially drafted two novels since almost. And I
Yeah,
need
you're almost, do you feel like you're a different writer than maybe you were when you drafted it?
I'm I'm not sure for Lockhart and Beckett yet, but when I was trying to find which chapter to read from The Art of Summoning Demons, I was like, oh my god, do I need to go back and revise another round because
I feel
I
like you've grown so much.
yeah. I found by chance there was a TikTok video the other day I scrolled on of this woman who is a writer. I don't know what she writes because like it wasn't talked about in the TikTok itself, but she was filming her husband who was reading her first draft or whatever of book two in a series she was writing, and he was like being embarrassed because he was like, I don't know how to tell you that like this is so good that there's going to be a big gap between your skills in book one and book two,
Oh,
and like he
wow.
was worried it would be noticeable. But it was like such a nice compliment at the same time, and I was like, oh my
Wow.
god.
Can you imagine be like, do I need to rewrite book one again or do I need to make book two slightly worse?
That's the thing. And yeah, I don't know how it will work for me when I write book two of The Art of Summoning Demons, but I do feel like I've had a lot of progress since writing book one, so
Hmm.
we'll see. um True Sun says, yes, I'm doing 6 fan arts challenge. And the character that got requested was Koenig from Call of Duty. So doing that. Okay. I don't know much about Call of Duty, if I'm honest. So I may have to look this up because when I say I don't know much, I know nothing.
Yeah.
Marta says, I tend to try to give myself a short project between 2 rounds of revisions, so I normally jump back in when I finish that small project. Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of a short project. What do you mean by a short project, though? Like,
I'm already thinking about when I'm done with this draft and we're doing our menage a trois, and my book is with somebody else, and obviously I'll be reading someone else's book, but at the same time I'm also like, ooh, I can do this project around the house, and that's when I'm going to do this, and that's when I'm going to do my office makeover, and like planning all the
are
other stuff in
you
my life I want to get done.
are you also thinking already now about like other ideas for other novels that you're planning at some point to write, or is
I
that
am.
not in your brain at the moment because you're like focused?
Earlier this year, I really struggled with Project Gemstone. Not the book itself, but just my writing motivation was lacking, and I just
Mm.
revising was hard. And for some reason, that made my brain go back to the fantasy book that I
Yeah.
was working on in 2020 and 2021, and I want to redo that whole book. And
You wanted to
um,
restart it.
I'm gonna restart it, replot it. Like I realized that book should be a true court fantasy, and it
Mm.
should be a little more claustrophobic and take place in the same city for the whole book. And I had not done that in the previous versions, so there's a lot that I want to change about that. Change a whole different magic system. I'm kind of over the elemental magic, and I think it's just done too much.
Mm.
And so I've been brainstorming a lot about that, but just very in a
That's
distracted
exciting.
manner.
Yeah. No, but it's good to have that. And I feel like when you brew on like some thoughts about like specific projects and you just let
Mhm.
it boil over in the
Yeah.
background.
It's interesting because I dropped that project and started Gaslamp Gemstone Girl Boss because I felt like that project was so dark and I really needed something light and fun and just easy. And that's why I switched. And now I'm kind of like swinging back the other way where I'm like a little more interested in writing something darker again. And I didn't know
Yeah.
if I was going to ever swing back in that
Yeah.
direction, but I definitely am.
Do you think you'll start over this year then? And do you have like an idea of when you're gonna
I had it in my 2024 goals that I want to um do a lot of brainstorming for this project and maybe outline it, but I and do like character work, but I didn't want
yeah,
to draft it this year. I
like
wanted
proper
to like
world building and
yeah,
everything? Think about
I really
the
yeah, I wanted to
system. Yeah.
take my time with the world building kind of like you did with Space Princess. Because I did not do that last time I attempted this book and it really shot me in the foot where I was making stuff up as I was going.
Which makes it
And
harder to
yeah,
continuously draft sometimes
it
if you have a complex
does.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to take the lessons I've learned about taking time with world building and also building out my characters before I draft.
Yeah.
So that's the goal for
Maybe
2024.
we'll do a lazy gang where we talk about world building at some point.
I would love that.
But yeah, I was thinking about movies versus books recently because someone did like a quick review of Damsel on Netflix and I
Mm,
watched it and it's like a Millie Bobby Brown movie where she is considered like it's called damsel because she's technically a damsel in distress in the movie and like
mm.
she has to deal with a dragon and
Ooh.
she's like you can tell from the trailer, so I hope I'm not giving any spoilers because the trailer is very tells you what's going to happen. It's evidently she's married off into this family, this royal family, and on the day of the wedding she's thrown into this pit where there's like a dragon as like a
Oh my god.
sacrifice. It's the fucking funniest trailer ever because it's very like dramatic and stuff. And like in the
Mm.
trailer, the guy, like the prince, is carrying her in his arms, was like, "I've got you. You can close your eyes. Trust me." Blah blah. And he walks on like this, like, and then he literally yeets her. Like it's just And it makes me fucking laugh every
Oh
time
my
I watch
gosh,
it.
that sounds so funny. I want to watch that.
The movie was good fun, but it wasn't good, if that makes sense. And one
Yeah.
of the points that the guy, like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what it is, but there's some things lacking that makes me think this is not good. But it's still
Yeah.
entertaining and it served its purpose. And someone in their commentary of it said the guy was basically saying what's good about it and what's not good about it. And one of the comments about what's not good was like, it's one of the victims of vague fantasy medieval world where there are
Mm,
no details. Like you do not
right.
know anything about the rest of the world. And it's true. And I was just like, yeah, it sort of lacks. And it makes me think, what else is going on is in this
Yeah.
universe? And like why like there's a lot of
It's
questions.
it's like the Truman Show where they've just built it up around where the characters are going, but out there
Yeah,
it's nothing.
exactly. And that's exactly it. And I'm like, you can get away with it in movies and you cannot get away with it in books most of the time. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're Ali Hazelwood writing Bride, because you can't get away with very big world building if your main focus is a romance. And I feel like
Yeah.
then that's fine. It's sort of like no one cares that much about the details.
True, 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 true.
But yeah, sorry, went on a tangent there. Marta also says, but also when I say jump back in, I do mean jump back into making a plan. I don't
Yeah.
just go back to revising without a clear idea of what I want to change. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. We said hi to Zainab, who is excited about the topic chosen for today. As someone who is struggling to revise at the moment, this is a great discussion. Yeah, I feel like some people love revising, and I'm in awe of people who do
Mm.
because I hate it. Like,
It's so funny because when I was working on my fantasy book and it was like the first book I ever finished,
mm,
I was, drafting and I was like, "Oh man, I just love revision." Like from short fiction that I'd done before, like revision is really fun to me. And so I just kept saying like, "Oh, I can't wait to be done with this draft so then like the real fun begins." And now I feel the opposite, where I love drafting because now I know
yeah,
how like hard and draining revising can be, and sometimes that spark isn't there.
yeah. And I think it depends on which round you're in as well and what
Yeah,
you're doing in that revision round.
very
Um,
much.
Steek says, okay, but you've been writing two novels since Lockhart and Beckett. Yeah, exactly, Helen. You've been
Yeah,
productive. I like the productive.
pro-deductive. Yeah.
I also had no idea who that was from Call of Duty. Okay, fair. I don't know if like you could be like I'm an avid player and I know everyone, every character in it. I don't know. Um, Project Orbit is my first real revision book. I reread it and made chapter by chapter notes with changes I
Mm.
need to make. Yeah, so when I write the first draft, I tend to make notes of things that I'm like, I'm gonna need to change that. If it's not something
Oh,
I'm
even when you're
reviewing,
drafting?
I have like a side. I usually call it like what's the name of this one? Notes while writing. That's literally what I call it. And actually, it depends. For instance, I've got in Space Princess Project, I have a list called small fixes because
Mm.
they're small little things. Like, for instance, the currency is called discs, but sometimes I've spelled it with a K and sometimes with a C. And I just went
Oh,
like,
yeah.
decide which
Yeah.
one.
I still have a lot of like little inconsistencies like
Mm.
that. Um, for instance, like Raphael's hair is like so different all the time. Like sometimes I describe it as he likes to wear it messy, and sometimes I describe it as like he always looks really polished. And it's like different back and
All right,
forth.
I'm just gonna make a call on it for you, but I've always pictured him with messy hair.
Agreed. Yeah,
Because he's a
agreed.
ruffian. He's like that character. Like
Yeah, he's
I
supposed to
don't see him
be.
as yet the houses people, like the posh people in the world are more polished. And like I
Yeah.
feel like he's like, I'm just this American dude coming over to sell me some jewelry.
Yeah, I think that fits his vibe better.
Yeah. But that's just how I've pictured him, and you might disagree, obviously. But yeah.
No, that's where I was leaning. I just haven't cleaned it up.
Yeah, I did this thing where I think Orion's character has hair of a certain color at some point and then a different color at some other point. I need to fix these things. So I make notes of those when I notice them because I'm like, I don't want to stop writing to go fix that. Like,
Right.
it feels like a waste of time because I'm trying to get to move ahead in the story. And then the other thing I do is once I finished the full draft, if there's a point when I'm rereading the full draft, then I'll make notes in the PDF as well.
Yeah.
Of things like delete this or summarize this bit because it doesn't need to be that long, etc. If I notice that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's been working well so far. I'm still in the middle of it, so maybe too soon to tell. Yeah, that's the thing we were both saying is we only have the experience of one specific novel. We've both fully.
And it's so different novel to novel, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
next time I try to attempt a different book, I'm sure all this will go out the window and I'll have to re-strategize.
Stieg says you can do what Samantha Shannon is doing, going back to her Bone Season series 10 years after publishing and revising each book to her current skill level. Author's preferred text, as she calls it. It's like Taylor Swift doing like Taylor's version of her album.
It's really cool. Yeah.
I didn't know she was doing that. That is cool. Well, I've done the short project method exactly twice, but the first time around, I did my character design art project. The second
I loved that.
I tried and failed to fast draft a new book. Fair. That's a bigger short project.
That doesn't sound like a small project.
Yeah. I also like the idea of doing short stories as in between projects, though. I might try that next time. Yeah. I like that idea. And also, if you're trying to improve on a particular skill while writing, I feel like short stories can be great for that. So, yeah. Steek says, I dropped my fantasy because I realized that my vision gap and my skill gap was not on the same league. So I want to level up with simpler stories until I can wrap my head around my grandiose fantasy one.
Yeah.
That's fair. I can see that. There are some book ideas that I'm like, not now, but later.
This was, I think, what I realized about my fantasy project, too, that I was working on a couple years ago. Like, I just didn't have the world building skill at the time. And I was trying to write a very political book because that's what I love. And I think I've also realized that it should be multi-POV, which I've never attempted. And yeah, I just decided to switch gears and work on Project Gemstone a little bit more.
As someone who before was very intimidated by multiple POVs, big world building, type of books, political intrigue, all of the above, except in a sci-fi setting for myself, with the addition of sounding like you know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to sci-fi, so it doesn't sound like it's just fantasy in space, which it is. I can just tell you that it's a question of just do it.
Very true. Yeah.
Because at some point you'll discover like, oh, it's not as hard as I thought, or like I can actually improve on this or that, or if I use this resource or that resource, or if I world build in advance, then things actually go more smoothly. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is the book that I'm going to attempt again and again and again throughout my life until I get somewhere.
Yeah, but how many versions of the draft do I get to read?
As many as you are willing.
Okay.
That's a you question.
Well, I'm aware that, like, for instance, Hudson is someone who prefers to keep her drafts close, until she's like ready to share a version. Which is totally fair. So, and I feel a little bit the same, just in the sense of like, I don't want to give you just the zero draft version because it has a lot of errors and spelling mistakes and stuff like that. So at the very least, I like the idea of doing one round. But yeah, I'm seeing a spelling mistake right now that I should have fixed. I would also love a Lazy Gang world building stream. Yes, we should do that.
Let's do it.
Nice. I got so mad at the prince for throwing her like that with a jerk. Also, hi, Genia. I love that this is your first comment coming in. That movie.
We had to make it known that was not nice.
It was hilarious, though. Like, I was just like, this is so funny. It sounds like the fantasy version of Ready or Not movie premise.
I was thinking that too.
Ready or Not was a masterpiece. Damsel is not. As someone who loved Ready or Not, I can, like, Ready or Not, I don't know, like, it had like comedic elements. It had so many things that came in together that formed this perfect movie. Damsel is a good one time, have fun. Don't put it high on a pedestal because it will fall, and never think about it again, you know? I don't know. There's just some movies that are like, this will be like reading a Kindle Unlimited book.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know what you're
fair.
getting into. I enjoyed it because it gave me the promise of the premise. It delivered, and that's why
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. But it
yeah.
wasn't good. I absolutely love revising. What are you on about, Marta? What the hell?
Oh.
Like, get out of here! What the
Teach
hell?
me, teach me.
We need more tangents with Malin in our lives. Me going off on tangents. Revising is so much fun. You have all the puzzle pieces, and now you get to rearrange them and put them together in a way that makes more sense. It makes everything feel more intentional and polished. Do you want to revise my book? Because I don't want to put the puzzle back in together.
Yeah.
I don't have patience. That's my problem, is I'm not a patient person. I hope I love revision more than drafting, because drafting is so difficult for me. Or maybe it's just a my first novel issue and not me hating drafting issue. Yeah, I feel like drafting can be difficult but enjoyable at the same time. And so
Yeah.
I like it, but I see the difficulty of it, if that makes sense. I picture Raphael a la Rick O'Connell from The Mummy. just
Yeah,
more
precisely.
Spanish.
Yeah, he is Honduran.
I can see that.
Mhm.
And I'm in for all the Mummy references to everything all the time. I mean, at least you've described his hair.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, I also make revision notes as I draft too. Yay! I'm happy that I'm not the only one who does that, because my brain will forget anything I don't write immediately. So if I'm not going to fix it, I need to write it somewhere. Agree. Meanwhile, in Project Orbit, it's the clown emoji for me. I got an ice. Something. No idea about the eng term. Wait, I'm so confused by this.
I think I'm glad you have a treat. I don't know if they're able to translate the name of the treat, but I'm glad you have a treat.
Okay. I was like, I don't know what this is about. Okay, but Anna, that sounds so far. Can I read it when you write it, please? I think she's talking about the fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be probably 4 years from now, but
No! That's why I'm writing my fanfic first. Fair. This is a big no pressure practice project before doing my own story, which funnily enough is when this is literally what I did for Nano, where I was like, I'll just do this for the fun of it project, and it ended up becoming a real project.
yep,
So
same.
yeah, it's always what happens. It's when you have fun that you remind yourself being a writer is in fact fun, and therefore you do a good job at it.
You just have to trick yourself into thinking like nothing matters, and then
just trick yourself and think, like, have a fake big project you're fake dreading, and be like, before I jump into this, I'm just gonna get this one done for the fun of it, and then that's fair. I also can't type and listen at the same time. I'm sort of doing the same thing as Teague. Before I dive into my dark fantasy, I am upping my horror game with some short stories before diving into the bigger project. That's really exciting and a great idea. And also, I feel like you could still make them really good and get them published in magazines and stuff. So, be interesting. On World Anvil's World Building Con was a panel about politics and conflict. Interesting.
I am writing this down.
Is that available online for us to watch, or do we need like a subscription to something? Or because I would love to watch this.
Yeah.
Only if you outline and draft the rest of my series for me. I'll do your fight scenes. Do you have any fight scenes? I feel like Marta might be like, I have no fight scenes. What are you talking about? I mean, I say that I kind of love outlining and drafting too, though. Well, that's good. If you love everything about the project, that's the essential part. I also do that, not the only one by far. And seriously, I write with one finger right now. Fair. That makes sense. Right. So we've been on for 2 hours and 23 minutes. Should we do our last sprint of the day?
We should.
We should. How long would you like it to last if you're going to use it to make your lunch?
Um, Probably at least, well, I'm just gonna make a salad, so I can be speedy. If you'd rather it be a short one, that's fine.
No, I don't need it to be a short one. I don't have a life. I don't have plans. So I am getting one of the hexed hourglass ones ready because I can just pick the time in there.
Beautiful.
Should we do, is 30 good?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I have it ready. Setting, no, wrong. There we go. Present, share screen. Where is it? This is it. Share. And it's one of my favorite ones because it's just so pretty.
So pretty.
Yay. All right, we'll get started in 3, 2, 1. Yay! How,
Hello.
how did that go? Did you make your lunch? Was
I
that all
did.
fine?
I ate my salad and then I just ate my salad and stared into space and got a Coke because I'm a little cold. And yeah, it was good.
Nice. Are you? Yeah, you're wearing a thicker jacket now. I could see. So it must be cold.
We forgot to leave the heat on last night, so the house got down to 59. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is in Celsius off the top of my head.
Uh,
But the
59.
house is very cold today.
15 Celsius. Oh, yeah, that is cold.
Yeah, I'm afraid that I might have shocked all of my indoor plants, but we'll see. Hopefully they're okay.
Oh, nice. I hope that they're okay. Yeah. It has been cold here as well too, actually. It's been sunny today, but really cold.
Mm,
I managed to write another, I think, 400, 500 words. I'm not sure exactly how.
nice.
But I'm really close to the end of this chapter. And once I finish this chapter, I can officially say again that I only have 4 left.
Good. Then we mean it for real.
Yeah. So I'm gonna probably after we finish this stream, I'm gonna try to finish this chapter because I have like one last bullet point on the list from the chapter to finish off. I'm so freaking close.
Oh my
And
God.
it's the start of like the aftermath. So like the last bit of the plan in place.
Oh my gosh. Do you think that it might be done in a week, 2 weeks? How are you feeling?
I hope so. My plan was to finish it before April, and
Right.
I'm still hoping that I'll be done before the start of April. So since Friday is off, it's a day off because it's Good Friday, and
Oh, nice.
we get Friday off, and then we get Monday off. But Monday will be in April already, so that won't count.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
And we have also been streaming for like almost 3 hours now. So I'll try to
Oh my
finish the
gosh.
stream in 4 minutes, 5 minutes, so that it's
Who
like
are
for
we, the troublemakers?
what the hell? And I'm like, I could keep going. No, no. Because I need to read as well. So I just want to finish this chapter and then I'm going to jump into reading Newsletter Ninja, which me and Steve are going to talk about on Tuesday. And
Excellent.
I have only just started, but it's quite a short book, so I think I'll be fine. And I was mostly planning to read a lot of it on my commute to work tomorrow because it's like an hour long. But I want
Good.
to start a good amount today so that I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited that you guys have a stream this week. I really loved where there was like a stretch of time where Steve was streaming on Mondays and Phoebe was streaming on Tuesdays. So I feel like I got to see you guys a lot during my work week, which was very nice.
Yeah, and there was a whole time when Phoebe was streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and me and Steve would constantly join the Tuesday ones, I
Yeah.
think. It was really fun. I felt quite productive during that time as well.
Yeah.
Where did I last leave off the comments? I think this was the last one before the stream.
Oh, yes. The world building
Oh
or
yes, it's
political.
free this year. Streams are on their channel. Okay, I need to generally go and have a look at that. It's World Anvil Con. Is that what it was called?
Yes. Good memory.
World building. I'm just googling it so that it's like in a tab somewhere, so I remember to look at it. Marta says, I have a ton of fight scenes, so be my guest. Will happily do so. You revise for me, I do your fight scenes. Hi Elaine, how's it going? Made in time for a sprint. I hope that it was a productive one for you as well. Keiko says, I absolutely recommend the resources and trade panel from World Building Con. I have like 3 pages of notes on that topic alone. That's fantastic. Yeah, I need to have a look at that. So, sorry, not sorry, but I'm advertising this because not many people know about World Building Con. Yeah, I've never heard about it. I did it until last year, and that one was amazing. Unfortunately, the streams couldn't be for free on YouTube because of 2 authors having seminars that they normally give on paid masterclasses webinars. That's a bit of a shame because surely they could be like, some of it is free so that it tempts people into getting the paid versions. I don't know.
Or put up some and not all.
Yeah. I mean, I would have watched it and then been like, if this is great, then I want to pay for the full version that they have somewhere else, you know? Yeah. Truslan says, we have finished. I'm always amazed how productive sprints are. Nice. Good job. Fantastic. And Marta finished her revision planning, filmed an update and outro to my revision planning video, and then filmed the intro to my actual revisions video that I'll be starting while traveling next week.
Yay.
Exciting.
I'm so happy that we have Marta content coming up soon.
Yeah. And also she left because she was hungry. So fair enough. Steek says, I did it. I bit a red, got through chapter 3. Yay. Have an interlude at chapter 4 left. Then I'm all done.
Good job.
Amazing. Then I get to start the next bitter reading project.
Oh my gosh, MVP, Steve.
How many are you bitter reading at the same time?
Do you just say yes to everything?
Yeah, you gotta be strict. Or I guess like the problem is sometimes you might say yes, not knowing when it's gonna drop, and then everything drops at the same time.
True.
Keiko says, I started watching the keynote by R.A. Salvatore on the World Building Con because I missed the beginning of stream 1. Okay, I'll have a look at all that. Good thing I have all of Easter off because your boy is blessed with work to do. Lol.
Oh.
Yeah. I finished my stats homework. Nice. Good job. Yes, I did not forget that I need to read this. Don't worry. It's been on my list, but I wanted to write first. And I mean, it's only 5 o'clock for me. I still have all of the evening. So don't worry. Don't worry. I have Wednesday afternoon off, Thursday, Friday, and next Monday off. Amazing.
Wow.
That's great. Yeah, we only get Good Friday and Easter Monday off around Easter. I'm just looking forward to a long weekend.
We have no days off. Which is okay, you know.
America sucks.
We love living truly in a secular in some ways country, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I don't like, to be fair, in the UK, they don't. What else is there? Because there's like a bunch of Catholic celebrations that I used to have off, like university and stuff when I was in Belgium, like Ascension and things like that, and they don't do it here. And every time my friends are all off, and I'm just like, fuck off. It's just Easter and Christmas here.
Yeah.
Stream all day. You can read by all the friends. Yeah, but also I need to like be off screen a little bit sometimes, you know. I've got some research done, reading a historic account of a storm flood in England, early 18th century. Fascinating read. That sounds really interesting, actually. Cool. Yeah, it was Gail Carriger with The Heron's Journey and Mary Robinette Cowell on World Building.
Oh, did Gail Carriger, she's the one who wrote the Soulless series, is that right? Because that is kind of a comp for Gaslamp, Gemstone, Girl Boss.
Oh, interesting.
So I will definitely check that out.
I love your book so much that I'm now like, maybe I should read the comp titles you have.
I think you would like it because it's paranormal. So there's like werewolves and vampires, and it's steamier than Project Gemstone. But the main character is the reason why I comped it, because she's just kind of a like goes against the grain, independent kind of lady who just annoys everybody. And she's very fun to read.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fun. Unless she's annoying to the reader. That's the only thing I don't find fun.
No, I don't think so. She's just very like, just goes against traditions and just doesn't really care what other people expect her to do.
I like that. Okay, yeah, I'll give it a go then. That sounds interesting. I do say yes to most things. I am a pathological people pleaser and also love reading my friends' projects. Also not secular in a lot of ways, Anna. Very sneakily unsecular.
Unfortunately, yeah.
She wrote the Parcel Protectorate series.
Yes, yeah, that's the overarching title of the series.
Oh, okay. She's very annoying to the men around her, as she should be, lol. They're morons.
Yeah.
That's a glowing review. That is,
yeah.
I hope that's a review of any of the book that I write. Main character, super annoying to men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, that's good. Cool. Well, it has been 3 hours and 4 minutes. We should end this stream. And thank you guys for coming.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around.
This has been a lot of fun. And I feel like it's fun when I'm finding it difficult to get sprints in because there's so many comments and people are
Yeah.
and that makes it fun. So I've enjoyed
Yeah.
myself. Thank you guys for coming. I hope you had a great time. As usual, I don't have an outro, so it's going to be a cold end to this stream.
Yeah. Irish goodbye.
Yeah, let's end this. Goodbye.
Bye.